Hey RV family, keep it tight. My name is J Morse 3rd guy, review music for the love of music, and I'm back again to bring you another video. And in this one I'm going to be covering the new One Day in Fukushima record entitled Permanence. And just before we get into the video, I wanted to say thank you so much for the support on my new cover of the Motionless in White track Another Life. The response to that was not what I was anticipating at all. I didn't really think anyone was going to care at all or watch it, but I do appreciate that, and if you guys are curious to hear my clean and unclean vocals, I uploaded a cover, so go check it out if you're curious. So I've been digging this release a decent bit ever since I stumbled across it, and I was exposed to this band back when they released their record Ozymandias, and it was just a pretty nice shot of Deathgrind and Grindcore, but I really thought that they were kind of missing something, and with this record, it is extremely short in the grand scheme of things, but for Grindcore, it really isn't. Anything that reaches 10 minutes, even if it's an EP, is like a godsend for grind. And this record is very much in the vein of old school Napalm Death, and I would also say Terrorizer, and to some degree the instrumentals of, say, a Pig Destroyer. And what's really ironic about those comparisons is, during my research and sort of deep dive on this band, because I tend to sort of go through a band's discography if I'm not too familiar with them, I found out that they literally did a tribute record to Terrorizer. So this Italian band just has sort of that throttling, pummeling, non-stop, blast beat, hardcore, tin-like sound to them. Although the snare is very intelligible, it's not really as tin can-like as many snares can be in Grind and Deathgrind, which I do usually prefer my snare to be pretty nasty in Grindcore, and I think generally the snare could have been maybe a little bit more gross, a little bit more vile in the mix. But going in line with the Napalm Death and Terrorizer isms, the vocals are extremely grumbly, very low end, very guttural based, very Barney Greenway inspired, specifically new school Barney Greenway, the low end being like Cookie Monster-esque. And while Ozymandias was a fun record to listen to at the time, this EP sort of stuck out to me more for the grooves. It's not the most technical, but specifically on the first and third tracks, it settles into some really fun groove, and even if it doesn't ever plateau or crescendo, it still manages to keep up a pretty high octane energy throughout the entire runtime. And for a grind record, you really have to pack in a lot in a short span of time to make the runtime interesting and keep you on the edge of your seat, because grind can blend together a lot of times. This record also follows in the footsteps of Ozymandias with the Deathgrind influence, where these tracks aren't super quick. They are very quick because it's a grind record, but the death metal really sort of packs a punch in the riff writing specifically like old school death metal with the thrash metal influence. It surprisingly is generally catchy. I'd say the first track is my favorite and the one that exemplifies why this band does what they do properly. It's nothing incredible, it's nothing mind-blowing, but what they do is they execute a pre-established sound very good. And with every gore grind and grindcore band trying to be the heaviest and the loudest, it's somewhat refreshing to hear a grind band that continues to make pretty just status quo material that scratches a particular itch. And as funny as it sounds for a grind record, I would like to see them sort of build on this and make longer records, make records that are more forward-reaching, especially in the full-length department. And I hope the next record that comes out of this project's canon has the same sort of energy and flair that this record does. It pretty much takes every good quality of Ozymandias and condenses it into a short, thrilling experience that's sort of like a roller coaster ride with tons of fun riffs and some pretty damn good production to it, although I think the percussive work is the only part of this record that lacks to some degree. On some tracks, it is prominent and it is prevalent. Specifically, I will once again hearken to the first track and the third track being very percussive led, with a lot of bass and low end coming from the drums, but the snare isn't as gnarly as I might want, and to complement the sort of grumbly sound that they have, I think that the percussive work in the future could be touched up in the production, not to make it more technical or to make it more sanitized per se, but to just make it stand out in the mix a bit more prominently, because grind of this style, the very grimy death metal influenced grindcore music can really benefit from some percussion work that isn't too fast, isn't too flashy, but has a level of hit and punch to it that you sometimes miss from other bands. And then any other complaint just comes, I guess, in the sound itself, because it really depends on what you value in grind music. The vocals can appear one note, little one-dimensional, sort of elementary, but there is something endearing about just how base level the template that they are working with is, because it's very easy to see where their influences are coming from, and while they wear those on their sleeve pretty prominently, I think they do enough here to set themselves apart to be a very above-average grind record to put on your guys' radar, to say the least. I'm going to be giving this album a 6 out of 10. And that is a wrap. Have you heard this new One Day in Fukushima record, Permanence? If you have, let me know in the comment section below what you thought about it. I would love to discuss this record with you. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is, my name is J Morris, 3rd V Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.